Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. He was checking the voice clarity in Bluetooth, and for that, at random, he just played a bhajan video, and Ganesha and Guru bhajans. One is the Bhajare Guru Charana. He sees Swami exactly the way he appears to him very often seated in the bhajan hall, looking at him. After that darshan, will ever any words emerge? Swami has to take care. Okay. We are getting into a verse, a chapter titled The Self Supreme. The chapter before is the chapter on disillusion, which he taught to one of the sadhakas in 2011 at Sadhaka's Kutir, if the sadhaka remembers. Evam eva layam vraja. After hearing a discourse from his preceptor on dispassion, where the preceptor instructs one by one to dissolve the body, to dissolve the mind, to dissolve the intellect, and then to dissolve the creation. And upon what is the essence of these instructions, the lines which follows, which echoes or which appears in each of the verses, Evameva layam rajat. Thus, in this state, upon dissolving each one of them, BMI creation, enter into the state of laya, the state of dissolution. The realized disciple Janaka, wondering what to dissolve, where to dissolve, how to dissolve, humbly answers his Acharya in 4 verses. Essence, peak essence of Vedanta In 4 verses, Janaka describes his state or the state of Supreme Self. Dissolving literally means to annihilate or to destruct. Okay, laya is to dissolve, means to destruct. Janaka, leaving alone, dissolving or destructing, he is answering to his guru, saying he is providing his own state in 4 verses, and towards the end of each of the verses, he is saying, I have nothing to accept or nothing to renounce, nothing to reject. When there is nothing at all to accept or renounce or reject apart from me, the pure consciousness, what do I dissolve? What do I dissolve? What do I destroy? Says Janaka, says a Jivan. We start. Akashavat anantoham घटवत् प्राकृतं जगत् इति ज्ञानं ततः न त्यागो न ग्रहो लयः. Infinite as space am I, and the phenomenal world is a limited jar. Iti jnanam, this is true knowledge. There is nothing to be renounced, nothing to be accepted, nothing to be destroyed. Akashavat anantoham. This is going to be a beautiful recap for few core sadhakas to whom a couple of these verses were already taught in very smaller course. I exist as infinite space, as anantam. Existing thus, how can I perceive any creation? If you come and tell me politely that Guruvar, creation is there, I am experiencing the creation day in and day out, then I can only tell so that you are satisfied, though I don't. There is nothing, no creation apart from me at all. Akashavat anantoham. Still, to satisfy you who is still perceiving the creation very much, I can only say that maybe the creation may exist as a small, not in, as a small pot or jar existing somewhere, but I don't perceive it at all, because as space I am anantam. In this anantam space, creation is not there. Self of all, without all. In the space, concepts of creation in Upanishad says the creation exists in space. That is from the perspective of the creation. But as space, I don't see creation. In such case, Maybe he looking at the Shishya, he says, maybe all these smaller parts of all beings and non-beings, one of you you being one of them, must be inside this small limited jar creation as still smaller minuscule jars. Maybe in this verse, Janaka says creation is a limited jar. Ghatavat prakritam jagat. But in the subjective experience of a Jivan Mukta, there is no such jar to be known or seen in that transcendental state. Still, if you say creation is there, I would say, oh, it may be a limited jar. And the audacity of the disciple, because he has gone very close with the Acharya, if the disciple, with all his audacity, must say in front of the Guru, oh Guru, what about my body? Even you have a body. Then the Guru can only smile. As he always messages you, he smiles. He smiles. Even then, my own dear mind, which you say it exists, may be a part within the limited jar creation. I don't cognize mind BMI. In the earlier sessions, we saw the BMI as burnt or the BMI as falling apart from us, the pure consciousness, like the dry leaf, etc. etc. Now he says, I don't see, I intensely he may be working with his body, mind, intellect, day in and day through in the performance of his duties as sannyasi, as grahastha, whatever, as a brahmacharya, whatever. But in essence, as pure consciousness, I don't see my BMI. If then I am asked to dissolve my BMI, it is a joke for me because what do I dissolve? There has to be something apart from me, the pure self, in unto which I can dissolve something. First of all, there is nothing in me to dissolve. And second of all, there is nothing apart from me existing where there is a logic that there can be something which can be dissolved. How do I dissolve self? And in what do I dissolve self? When there is nothing apart from self. What can be the self in that case accept when there is nothing other than me? What can me the self renounce when me the self is anantam? I have to renounce and live somewhere else, but I exist as anantam, akashavat ananto. Where do I dissolve? Where do I renounce? What do I renounce? Hence, what do I dissolve? You called upon me, you beckoned me, evameva layam braja, you dissolved, okay, and exist in that state of dissolution. I am telling, I have nothing to dissolve. I am submitting to the Guru with folded hands. Oh, Guruvar, This is the state. This is not my state. This is the state. What do I dissolve? If the creation is there for me, BMI was there for me, ego was there for me, then all of them must be dissolved. Agreed. But where is the creation for me? Aho, where there is anything even to destroy, to dissolve. Mahodadi iva aham sa prapancha vichisanniva iti jnanam tata ekasya na tyago na graho yaya. I am like the ocean and universe is like a wave. This is true knowledge. Hence, therefore, there is natyago, nagraho, laya. Nothing to be renounced, natyago. Nothing to be graha. Nothing to be accepted. Nothing to be destroyed, laya, nalaya. In the previous verse, at the transcendental level, the sage did not recognize the existence of creation. In this verse, the sage rose as a Jivanamukta who does exist in the creation, maybe so that the truth echoed in this may be comprehended by mumukshus in centuries, in yugas to come, who may not be able to comprehend at their various stages in their spiritual evolvement if they are told that Akashavat Anantoham, I exist as space and there is no creation. They may not be able to get convinced at the Mananam stage also. Maybe possible, even if one of the 100 disciples is not convinced, the purpose of the Guru Shishya Parampara is not achieved. So, like a mother who goes down to pick up the child, to lift the child unto herself, the Guru comes down from Uttarkashi to Rishikesh, and then he accepts, okay, he accepts the existence of creation and he says, I am like the ocean and the universe is like a wave. चलो खुश हो जाओ तुम भी, माना कि जगत है. Janaka, as he shared spontaneously with few sadhakas on this verse earlier, Janaka, existing as Videhamukta, as beyond the creation, must have walked to the in his palace, must have gone to his Andapuram, to his interior chambers, must have talked to his wives, must have talked to Sita, must have gone and attended the court in the palace and listened to various complaints and settled cases, etc., etc. So, in this state, he has faced the creation. So, he says, Mahodadi iva ahamsa prapancha vichi sannibha. Ocean exists at substratum level. Waves apparently arise at surface level. Ocean pure consciousness, waves creation. Way back, the first ever YouTube session or the first ever video session delivered in Muscat was the Wave Ocean session, which the recording could not be obtained because it was not delivered in YouTube platform. It was in some other platform. There, we found that there was no recording. But anyway, if few of you remember, he then sent you a Wave Ocean session which he had sent given to few sadhakas maybe in 2016 or 17, 15 or so. If few of you remember, in that Wave Ocean analogy, in that session, the whole session was as though the Jiva is speaking. Okay, so it was all about the cry, the pain, the agitation, and the fear of the wave, sometimes in ego, seeing it as bigger than the smaller waves, sometimes in fear when it thinks that it will go and hit the shore and it will die. So, caught up in all the kleshas was the wave speaking in that session, ultimately to realize that when the biggest wave, the Acharya wave, comes and explains to this wave, O Saumya, you were never wave at all. In essence, you are that substratum ocean from which, like the Brahma Sutra verse says, Tatastha Lakshana, from it is a substratum from which you arose, in which you exist, and unto which you are going to merge now. There is no separate existence for you. With that, that discourse ended. Right? In this verse, the tables are turned. It is the ocean, substratum ocean, which is speaking now. It is the Jivan Mukta, not the Jiva, who is speaking now. As ocean, as pure consciousness, well, as I exist in the creation, I am aware of the apparent emergence and existence of waves, creation, which looks to you as different from me, the pure consciousness. However, when I see something, when some objects come before me, when some collective vasana of the creation come to attack me, then if I have vritti, disturbance in my consciousness, then I will be aware of the object. In that case, creation with all its experience, the way with its rise, different waves and different race levels, different beings with different vasanas are bound to hit me and to make me ever feel that the Nityam creation is as though Satyam. All these things may give me a misapprehension that the creation is real. There is no vritti, no disturbance in consciousness on being aware of the emergence of waves. I do see creation with these physical eyes. I hear the noises in the creation with these physical ears. I do smell, I do touch with my physical sense organs. But however, as the seer, as the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, speech of the speech, mind of the mind, prana of the prana, there is no plurality. There is no duality. There is nothing other than me, the pure consciousness. If the wave is different from me, then there is a possibility for me to renounce the wave or destroy the wave. What do I renounce? What do I accept? And what do I dissolve? Where do I dissolve? Chinmaya's lines have to be repeated here again. He says, with this striking example, the idea that the infinite gets conditioned is totally removed from there is no conditioning, there is no modification in the existence of wave, there is no upadhi, there is no conditioning in the wave. That conditioning part is totally removed from the contemplative mind of the student. Yet, the idea that the infinite does appear as the pluralistic phenomenal world is not excluded from the picture of the ocean and the waves. Okay? The creation is recognized for your sake. You accept that the creation is there, and then you come to me, come to my state, and then realize that you may see the creation, yet as the seer, as the eye of the eye, you may not recognize the creation in the sense that you may not allow your consciousness will never undergo disturbance vritti with any of the experiences which are there in the creation. Interesting analogy, though not exactly the same, but the essence can be driven here. He, in lighter sense, he remembers that when Swami addresses, Hari Subramaniam says, when Swami addresses the students in Vrindavan, in Trai, he says, you were all the Vanaras. Okay, in Treta Yuga, when I incarnated as Sri Rama, and while saying, revealing this, he still addresses them as monkeys. So, Hari says, the jivas were monkeys in the Treta Yuga, and the jivas continue as monkeys in the Kali Yuga, whereas the status of the avatar Ramakrishna Satyasai is retained as it is. That does not undergo change. You continue to be monkeys. Not exactly the same, but the essence is that the yugas may change. The creation may appear to be diverse. The creation which we saw 100 years before, or 50 years before, or even 20 years before might have undergone physical changes, but yet the monkeys remain monkeys, the creation remains creation with all its limitations, whereas I, the pure consciousness, is ever changeless. If I have to undergo change, then I must have been born. That means must have been a prior cause to me, and I should have been the effect of the cause. The effects must die, the effects must undergo changes, the effects must go and merge in their cause. This is the niyati, this is the rule. in the creation. Since I was never born, I never undergo any change. Aham sa shukti sankansha रूप्यवत् विश्वकल्पना इति ज्ञानं तत एतस्य न त्यागो न ग्रहो लयः। I am like the seashell, and the illusion of the universe is like the silveriness imposed on me, the seashell. This is true knowledge. There is nothing to be renounced, nor to be accepted, nor to be destroyed. Continuing with the ocean and the wave exposition, Janaka brings in another similar exposition in this verse. In the form of a seashell and the silveriness appearing on the seashell. The silveriness appearing on the seashell, does it really have a form? Though it appears to have a form, have a shine, but does it really have a form? An identity separate from the seashell? Is it something apart from the seashell? The seashell has never undergone any modification to appear as the silveriness. The seashell has no relation, no association. It has not undergone any modification like the milk is modified into curd, and then, okay, like that, there is no modification happening here. The seashell remains a seashell ever. The gold remains the gold even while various patterns of necklace and bangles are made out of the gold. There is no modification, no body, no conditioning of the seashell, pure consciousness. Like the wave is never apart from the ocean, the silveriness is never a modification of the existence of the seashell. Seated in the temple day before yesterday, you cannot call a logic. Logic is a very limited expression. Justification for this particular sequence to appear like this from space, and then the wave and the ocean, and then the silveriness and the seashell. The first state is Kaivalya, transcendental. The sage is existing as aloneness of self, where there is no Jagat, no Jiva himself, and there is no Ishvara to create himself and the Jagat. Infinite space. He gave you this session where he gave you step by step how this you have to exist as space, where, like Bakasura example, you remember, where everything comes and merges in the space, and in a spark, in the timeless, time spaceless space, the space dissolves in me, the pure consciousness. Remember, from the 2011 up to now and up to whenever he is going to be pouring you, giving you the sessions, every session is interrelated like the garland. And this garland is such a garland where you cannot pick up the starting point, you cannot pick up the ending point. It is also infinite garland where every session you can link one session to 10 sessions or 10, 20 sessions, everything because Ekam Sat. The truth is one. Okay, so the first is Kaivalya, transcendental. His state, Uttarkashi state, infinite space, and talk to you, not even space, upon transcending space, where at least level he can only say that the space exists inside me. That's all. That was also given to you. As to how a seer, a Jivan Mukta may be perceiving or not perceiving the creation. What it means for a Jivan Mukta to say that he pervades the entire creation. Remember? He remembers everything from 2011 till now, even if you would have forgotten any of the expressions. The second is the state of the Jivan Mukta in Kaivalya, no doubt, but existing in creation, seeing the creation with his physical eyes. Jivan Mukta's existing, this was also given as a quote from Shivananji Maharaj's quotations. Jivan Mukta's existence is like the cat sitting on the wall. There are two sides. Here is the Brahman, transcendental Brahman state, Kaivalya, beyond the manifest and the manifest. Here is the creation. It at will the Jivan Mukta can turn towards the creation for the Loka Sangraha, Loka Kalyanam, and at will he can exist as this Brahman consciousness. Okay. Waves are not different from the ocean. Any pot space and the pot itself is not different from the space. Till now, he is alone physically also, and he is whispering all this in bliss. Okay. The disciple walks in and sits. The guru looks at the disciple. He knows that the disciple is still perceiving the creation with his vritti and taking in all that the creation is giving to him, taking in all that which the creation is giving to him, because he has not achieved the perfect balance of his gunas. So his sattvic guna is on the rise. With the sattvic guna, at the sattvic state, he is, however, perceiving the creation. Though sattvic in nature, with sattvic vasanas. Acharya places his hands on the disciple's head, strokes his cheeks, as you might have experienced, some of you, with him. And he explains, coming to the third part, where creation appearing as superimposition, modification of self is not true. Step by step, step by step. Since the creation appears with all its shine and glitters like the silveriness appears on the seashell, O child, you are believing the creation to be true. All the filth or the fragrance in the creation, all the good and the bad in the creation cannot affect me, the pure consciousness. As long as you exist in the creation, and you perceive the creation through your senses, through your BMI, through your vasanas, through your vritti, there will be this gross misapprehension that the creation is real. The relations are real. The good and bad in creation are real. Honesty and dishonesty amongst the people who love you, the people who do not love you, all the people who stab you, all these things may look to be real. Come, enter me, as Sai declared once. Here the Acharya declares, come, enter me, exist as me, see the creation as me, the eye of the eye, not merely through your eye and senses. You give your mind to me, you give yourself to me, allow me to work through you. Realize that I, the pure consciousness, the pure space, the pure ocean, the pure seashell, have never undergone any modification at all. I am changeless, pure awareness. As Acharya is explaining the above, sunset has all these things emerged at the temple so that you can glide in the Guru Shishya Parampara as though all these things are literally happening between you and him. Seated in the kutir, all these three discourses are finished. The sunset has taken place. The session must conclude, but like he is not satisfied with giving for 10 and a half years, this continuing, the essence, the Acharya's compassion makes him feel that the essence has to be still driven into the core of the disciple without any analogies of wave or space or seashell or whatsoever. Absolute level, the essence has to be given. After that, the Acharya has to retire to his inner small kutir. The disciple has to contemplate on the essence, seated on the river bank, and then reverting to Acharya either next day morning or on rare occasion if the Acharya comes out at night and calls the disciple. So the disciple has to get that spark at once, at once, at once. So for driving this essence, what does he say? What does he tell towards the end of the gospel? Aham va sarvabhutesu sarvabhutani atho mani iti jnanam tatha etasya na tyago na graho laya. I am indeed in all beings, and all beings are in me. This is true knowledge. There is nothing to be renounced, nor to be accepted, nor to be destroyed. After the space creation jar analogy, the ocean wave analogy, seashell and the silveriness analogy, this verse does away with all the analogies, still sums up all of them. Like in one of these earlier sessions, he says that upon reaching Puttaparthi Sai Kulwant Hall, all the guide posts from the airport till the Puttaparthi loses their significance when you have entered and merged with the essence in the hall, yet all the guidelines or guideposts were very important, very significant in you to make you reach the final destination, with the guideposts being all these sessions. Like that, nevertheless, they were all important. Nevertheless, all the analogies have gone. all the analogies must also go from the student's contemplation now, but still the essence of all of them, the endless, beginningless, or the Ananta garland of all these sessions must come as one essence. Therefore, Acharya says or roars, I am in all are in me. Wait. Somehow, seated in Mandir, there was some, like in a beautiful music rendition, somewhere you feel an apashruti. This is not to be undermined as the apashruti, but still something was missing or something was not 100% reflecting in this verse, that transcendental state. He contemplated on your behalf and then realized and smiled. This I am in all are in me, prostrations to Ashtavakra, not to undermine the verse, because maybe still he felt that the not only Janaka, it is not may not be even given to Janaka. Janaka was already realized, but for the sadhakas, for yugas to come, maybe if he rose his exact state, maybe they may not be able to grasp. So he said, all are in me, I am in all, because the disciple is still perceiving the allness in the creation. If he may deviate from the English, proper English, and say allness. This in was not appropriate in to express, though in limited words, the state of that transcendental beyond the manifest and unmanifest state. Why? Because if I say I am pure consciousness and all are in me, then there must be two things. One is I, okay, and the other is all. For the all to be in me, and similarly I to be in all, which is not true. There is no duality. If the discourse is concluded by the Acharya with this verse, the student may still live silently with the duality in his mind between the I and the all, because the all is in me, the I is in all. It was changed. The verse had to be rewritten for you, Sadhakas. And the essence rose, all is me and I am all. After removing the duality, the duality is gone. In the above assertions, all expressions which come after I am can be removed. I am all is me. Remove all, and me, all is I, remove the all is. And all that remains is I am. Or still further, I. And still further, still not further, still deeper, still subtler. Subtler is the perfect expression. At the subtlest state, deep silence. At this absolute existence, there is nothing which is not self, which is not divine, which is ignorant, which has ego. Because if you differentiate between me, the pure consciousness, with arrogance, and then say the all is in me, then the all is not as perfect as me. Here I say I am all is me. Therefore, there is nothing anatman in this entire creation. Or there is no creation other than me. All, if you say creation, the creation is all because everything has to be in the creation. I say all is me, the creation is me only. So once you realize me, I the pure consciousness, only I remain, creation leaves with prostrations. Swami said, in essence, not quoting Swami's lines, because he did not refer to any of this as I speaks, but he remembers reading the essence. Swami said, when I am Vrindavan, I am Krishna, and all others are Gopikas. When I am Uti, I am the child. I am child amongst all the children in the Uti school. When I am Bharti, performing my duties as chancellor, etc., I am a very strict administrator, very strict parent, very strict guru. When I am alone, I am God. Echoing the various states contemplated on today's verses, sequence is changed. For you, the Jiva, I may be seashell silveriness, I may be appearing as creation with all its plurality. Okay. Or I may, or let us change the sentence. For you, the Jiva, it may sound impossible for me not to perceive the creation, not to perceive the duality, not to perceive the plurality. Ocean second. As the one who is ever free, the Ishvara with physical, like Swami gave various distinct at various levels what he is, as the one who is ever free, the Ishvara with physical presence, I am the shoreless ocean, seeing the wave which you see as creation, yet not seeing, hearing, yet not touching, not hearing, touching, yet not touching, smelling, yet not smelling. Because in the Dridrishya Viveka sequence, we started from the objects. Objects are seen, the senses are the seer. The senses are seen, the mind is the seer. And if you must distinguish between the mind and intellect, actually at the purest level, there is no distinction. Still, this was not in Dridrishya Viveka. Still, he gave to you some of the sadhakas in the earlier session. The mind is the seen and the pure intellect is the seer. And the intellect is the seer and pure consciousness. Intellect is the seen, pure consciousness is the seer. Here, when I say this, seeing yet not seeing, in the sequence, the mind is cut off, the intellect is cut off. Okay, everything is cut off. So, the physical eyes, the senses may be seeing the first level, but No mind, no intellect, nothing in between. As pure consciousness, I am not seeing. Kenopanishad. As a transcendental Brahman, I am all is me. When I roared, I am space, I am roaring as Nirguna Nirakara Brahma. When I roared, I am the shoreless ocean and waves are not different from me. I am still Nirakara, but Saguna, because I'm, I'm admitting the existence of the creation that Guna has come within. So I am still Nirakara, but Saguna, the Ishvara in the Panchadashi example at the second stage. Maybe sometimes when I incarnate, I can even be Sakara, Saguna. When I taught you that the creation does not undergo modification, even as silveriness may appear due to your misapprehension, it is not about my state. With compassion swelling in my heart for you, I am beckoning you, I am calling you to come and exist as me, and then see if there is any creation apart from you. Exhausted with all the analogies, yet wanting you to know what is that state, I can only conclude I am all is me. I wrote long before. I am neither Brahman nor Atman, nor creation nor created, neither Jiva nor Ishvara, neither Satyam, neither Anantam nor Jnanam, neither a witness of cosmic vibration, neither Saguna nor Nirguna, neither Advaita nor Dvaita, beyond all concepts, beyond all yogas, beyond all Vedas, beyond Vedanta, beyond definitions, beyond all attributes. I said then, I remain as I say now, I roar now, I am, I, I am, I, I am, I. Silence. What is this state? Going back to Hanuman Chalisa. Bareno Raghumara Bimala Chaso Jo Dayak Palachari. The ultimate of the char Purusharthas, moksha is attained. Therefore, having attained moksha, existing as Nirguna Nirakara, still when it comes to my Sadguru, my Sai, Bharana Raghubara Vimalachasav, I revere you, I prostrate to you, I am at thy feet ever. Oh, the pure one, Bimal. the state and the place of Sadguru never changes. Prior to realization or post realization, it will never changes. Still, the duality between you and the Guru is not there. This, if you tell anyone, they will not understand unless they also undergo all the teachings from their chosen Shrotriya Brahmanishta Guru and they realize self. Then only they will realize that I am prostrating to you, I am crying, I am at your feet, I am crying with my love and devotion. Yet there is no duality between you and me. Na Guru, na Shishya. This apparent contradiction, nobody will understand till they realize self. Under the watchful eyes of a Sadguru. Hari Om Tat Sat. Jai Sai Ram. Essence of 108 Upanishads, essence of all the other chapters of Ashwagandha Gita, essence of the Panchadashi, essence of all the Vedanta treatises, everything is completely, wholly covered and brought together today in these 4 verses which Avidehamukta has wrote. And with the various levels of the sadhakas very much there in his mindless mind, all these 4 verses wrote some thousands of years before are brought to you in this new flavor, in this new dimension, in a way, in a plate served to you, which you can very easily take and absorb if there is a will, if there is mumukshutva, if you are endowed with sadhana chatushtaya. Not otherwise. This will go as one of those sessions. Within 1 hour it will go. Up to you. He is serving you fully. Yam petra imbagam vayaham perettu. Let what I got, let the whole world get. But how much you take